Hello. There are many techniques to memorize rules, definitions, and many of the items you will need to memorize in order to do your best on final examinations. Sometimes you will encounter long lists, perhaps your own personal checklist of issues to use during the final examination. Today, Professor Tonsing will demonstrate one method of quickly memorizing long lists of items. As an example, he will memorize a long list of exceptions to the hearsay rule. Let's join him now in his virtual office.
Hello, I'm going to be talking about memorizing lists of items today. I'm going to be using the Loci method. Loci is Latin for places. Some people refer to this or a variation of this as the memory palace system. So we'll get going. And the first thing I want to tell you is to memorize items, what you're really doing is you are associating or linking what you already know with what you want to memorize. In other words, what you don't know. So you link the known to the unknown. And you'll be doing that by creating little scenes, lists. And it's also kind of fun to do. And while you're doing it, while you're creating it, you'll be memorizing. So let's get to start right now. What you see on the screen right now are the 17 exceptions to the hearsay rule. These came from many sources. Maybe you will only be learning 12 exceptions, or maybe you'll learn 18 or 19 eventually. But we're working with these 17 right now. And what I'm going to attempt to do is to memorize the 17 in the order that they are now. You may prefer a different order in terms of frequency or some other important aspect, important only to you. So the first thing that we're going to do is write out our list. Not write out the entire rule, just write out the name of the rule, the part of the rule that's going to bring to mind that particular exception, and we'll deal with the actual rule at a different time. The next thing to do is to make up a word for each of those rule designations. And you see, for example, number 1 on the left is related to number 1 on the right. It has no relation other than I made up a word that I'm going to be using to help myself remember. Now, what words do you make up? Well, you can learn that by watching what I've done and figure that out for yourself. So here's my list of 17 exceptions and the words that go with them.
Choose a place very familiar, your backyard, your commute, a baseball stadium. Just make sure it includes many stops or particular places, like this stadium.
The next thing to do is to number places that you are familiar with in an order that makes perfect sense. I'll show you what I mean. I start off with home plate as number 1, and then number 2 is the pathway, the pathway to first base. And there's first base, there's the path to second base, and so on. You see, I have, let's say, a runner going all around the base until he hits third base, and at that time he goes over to talk to the pitcher. You know what he wants to tell the pitcher. And then he starts through the outfield. And he goes to number 9, which in my little diagram here, number 9 is the left field umpire. They have those in playoff games, no, not during the year. And then, as you can figure, 10, 11, and 12 are the left field, right field, center field. 13, bleachers, left field bleachers. 14, the large television. There. Number 15 is we're going across to the right field bleachers. Then we go up to 16, which is that right field jumbotron, the big television. And we go up to number 17, which are the lights for a night game. Now, having done that, we go to the next step. Now, make up a goofy story that has the word in it for each place. For example, you can see on the screen, number 1, home plate. My goofy story is a bunch of presents piled up there. They're wrapped in shiny gold. They've got ribbons around them. They're piled high on home plate. I don't mean just high, I mean high on home plate. And they're rocking back and forth like they're going to fall down. And the umpire and the catcher are scrambling to get out of the way in case they fall. Looks like they will. Okay. What's the next one I did? Number 2. It's trying to go down the baseline from home plate to first base. The runner is on his way. And, there's about a dozen cows standing right on the baseline. They're all mooing. And he has to hurdle them like a, track and field hurdler. And he's hurdling over these cows. And all the cows have big udders. And you can see these udders as he hurdles on toward first base. Number 4, okay. I'll tell you, 3 at first base. The first base is made out of metal, and he has to kind of dive into first place, and he scrapes his hand on it, and there's blood everywhere, etc. But next one that I show you here is number 4. He's on his way on the pathway from first base to second base, and that's great. There's a train there he can take, so he gets on this RR railroad train and heads down to second base. At second base, he can't quite touch the base because there's a bus on it. Yes, it's a yellow school bus full of kids. What else did I do? 7. When he gets to third base, he notices, of course, there's a very small, about the size of my head, very small flying saucer there. And on that rim around the flying saucer are ancient aliens, just a whole bunch of them. And they're red and blue and green, and they're laughing and squeaking like ancient aliens do, The next number I show you here is 12. That's over in right field. Number 12, that's the Beatles are there giving a concert that we used to call the Beatles the Fab Four. So that's the word, Fab Four. And they're giving a concert. Okay, I hear them. They're singing All You Need Is Love. That song that you may not get from the way I just sang it. Number 16. 16 is up on the left field Jumbotron. No, that's a right field Jumbotron. And there you can see on the Jumbotron, Judge Judy holding court. And I hear the sounds and I hear her voice, etc. So for each one of the numbered places, make up a story that has in it color and sound and action and smell if you need it. And that's it. Okay. Now, run through your list. 1, 2, 3, home plate, baseline, first base, pathway to second base, that sort of thing. Run through the numbered words that you made up, attaching them to those places firmly, and visualize them really well, like you're watching it on movie screen. Do it a couple of times. Now put away the numbers so that you do it by memory. Do that 2 or 3 times. Okay, you've got it. Now, I'm going to put this all away, go to sleep, get up in the morning, take a quick look at my baseball field, really, and see if I can name all the words, and then I'll put it on video. All right, here we go. I'll close my eyes. I remember better that way. Again. present, udder, metal, RR, railroad, bus, pub, ancient, DD for door dash, history, admission, fab, officer, official, diagnosis, ID, court, fish, catch. How'd I do? Thanks. Not bad, huh? Not bad for an old guy. All right. So that's how you memorize the 17 words, the key words like present and others and metal. And of course, once you see present and others and metal, you know that because you know the exceptions to the Hearsay Rule, and I'll look at the list now because I'm not memorizing those. Present sense impression, excited utterance, then existing mental, emotional, or physical condition, the RR, recorded recollection. Number 5, business records, bus, BUS. Okay, so that's the whole trick. Pretty good, huh? What did it take you? Well, this is a long video, but if you're just doing this on your own by yourself for 15 items, you could get it all done in 15 minutes, 20 minutes max. That's how you put this indelibly on your brain. Now, if it's something that you want to continue to remember for weeks and months, go over it once in a while, and it will embed itself there. The next thing I want to tell you, though, is after a while, you should get used to saying those exception words, the whole exceptions, so much that you may not even need to see the stack of presents on home plate and railroad train going down to second base, etc. Okay? All right.
Thanks, Professor Tonsing. He asked me to tell you that he went back over the words quickly later in the day. Then he was able to recite them in just a few seconds. That didn't make it on the demo tape. We hope you can see that memorizing a long list of items can be a rather quick and easy task. Once you try the Loci method, also known as the memory palace system, you will be surprised at how fast you can memorize. There are several ways to memorize. This is just one. We'll talk about some others in a later video. Thanks for joining us.